All right, well, speaking of which, Miss Carlisle is on the phone right now. Let's bring her on. And ladies and gentlemen, I've interviewed this lady on many occasions and it never gets old. And I keep calling her this, the busiest female wrestler in the indies. And this past weekend, she reached yet another incredible milestone by becoming the first ever Valkyrie Women's Champ. I'm joined with the one and only Kacee Carlisle right here, right now. What's going on, champ?
Hey, what's up, Kenny? How are you?
I'm doing real good, and thank you so much. I mean this seriously. Thank you for being back on the show yet again. It's always great chatting with you and getting caught up with what's going on in your wrestling career and so forth.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for that awesome introduction. I appreciate that so much.
Well, it's only fitting for someone of your caliber, and I hope I did that justice. I hope I did.
You definitely, I'm always flattered by it. Thank you.
Well, Kacee, that being said, let's just go ahead and get into it. You won the championship this past weekend at Brooklyn. Now, we all know you're a former NWA Women's Champion. And it's always good to be champion. It's a huge accomplishment. But becoming the first ever champion of any company, that speaks volume. And that being said, now that you have had a chance to reflect and look back on it, how does it feel as of today? You are the first ever Valkyrie's Women's Champion for a company that a lot of people are saying is on the rise.
I can, first of all, I have to correct you on one small little detail. It wasn't this past week, and it was actually October the 24th. So we're actually nearing a month now that I say that out loud, that I won that title. But you are correct in saying that I am the first Valkyrie champion, known as the Queen of Valkyrie. And you are correct as well when you say it's a company on the rise. Valkyrie has had 3 really outstanding events so far this year, and they've already scheduled their first event for 2015, and that's going to be on Friday the 23rd of January. And they're really doing well. It's an awesome company to work for. I think they're a very, very positive mark in women's wrestling. But as far as being their first champion, you're right. It's a complete honor. It's a complete, a pleasure, really, to be representing the company as their first champion and to have that honor, bestowed upon me. I'm flattered by it. I'm humbled by it. That, obviously they see something in me and faith in me to instill that trust in me to be the face of their company and to have that title placed upon my waist and my head, so to speak. So it's an incredible honor, and it's one that, I'm thrilled that I get to be able to have that honor, and I plan on defending that title just as hard as any other title I've ever held against every single person that gets put in front of me as an opponent.
Now, I checked out your Facebook page from time to time. It seems like every other week I see you with a championship belt. It's like, well, you got a belt over here, you got a belt over there. I'm thinking to myself, you must have a case filled with championship belts from the top to the bottom. And that being said, how many just so I can be caught up, how many championship do you have currently right now?
Currently, I'm the holder of 5 championships.
Yikes. That's incredible. And like I said, you got belts left and right. Next thing you know, you're probably gonna be winning the Divas Championship, the Knockouts Championship, the Shine Women's Championship. Girl, you're gonna be winning championships all over the place when your career's all said and done. But I think what it all boils down to is not just you as a wrestler, but it's you as a professional. And I said this in the past, and I'm going to say it again. When it comes to Kacee Carlisle, there's not a bad thing said about you. You go to work and you perform to the best of your ability. You are easily to work with. You are a promoter's, how do I say this? You are a promoter's dream of a wrestler and a professional. And the 5 championships, it definitely shows that these promoters and these companies, they not only respect you as a wrestler, but they respect you as a human being, and you're always going to give it all you got. And that is why I feel like you have those belts. It's definitely your character, and it speaks. It just says that the good things deserve to happen to good people, and you fit the mold, Kacee. Straight up.
Well, wow, I'm blown away by that. Thank you, Kenny. That means so much to me. I appreciate it. I to even think that, that all of those things me and describe me is really humbling. I just, what it boils down to for me is that I'm lucky, I feel lucky even to this day to be able to be in this business that I so love with all my heart. And I'm lucky to be able to not only be part of it, but to have the success that I've been lucky enough to have. And I do take it extremely seriously. Anybody who knows me well, or even maybe people who only kind of sort of know me, probably would be able to tell you how seriously I take it. It's, you hear the word passion get thrown around a lot in a lot of different aspects of life and pertaining to a lot of different things. But, professional wrestling business for me, it is my passion. It's what truly, I can honestly say, it's kind of what keeps me afloat many times. And it's where my heart is, and I care about it. And I think anytime you love something and you truly care about it, by nature, whether you realize you're doing it or not, you just put more into it and you kind of give it your all and focus on it more. And this is what I wanted to do from the time I was 8 years old. And I never lost sight of that. I never lost that. It wasn't something fleeting. It wasn't something that I decided to do because it was cool or because, my friends were doing it or anything like that. So I really, truly am so grateful and thankful for, every match I've been able to have, every opportunity that's been presented to me and I've had the opportunity to grab, every accomplishment, every award, every single one of them. I'm truly so appreciative, and I wish there was a better word than appreciate, because I say it a lot, but I mean it. It's just, it's awesome. I wouldn't change anything, and as I said recently, if I had to retire tomorrow, I would be pretty much okay, because I have been so lucky to do something that there are so many people out there who maybe aren't physically able to do it or just don't have the opportunity to do so. And so I do everything I can to kind of keep that in perspective and not take anything at all for granted, and to know that every time I'm able to get into the ring, and I'm lucky and I'm privileged. So I think, I just try to keep that mentality, and that's a lot of what keeps me driven.
Well, I definitely believe that there's more great things to come, and I feel like, the term role model gets thrown around when it comes to celebrities and athletes. I consider you a role model for aspiring women wrestlers out there that wants to make this as a dream, make this as a profession. And I feel like in my heart, if there's any aspiring women wrestlers out there that really wants to really take their career to heights that they want to, accomplishments to things, they should look at Kacee Carlisle and look how she has competed, look how she's conducted herself, and who knows, their careers could be where yours at. Do you consider yourself a role model for aspiring women wrestlers out there, or aspiring wrestlers, male and females for that matter?
Um, Well, I suppose I could consider myself that. I have been told in the past that, by women wrestlers or just, even some of the guys that, I've been kind of looked at in that role, that people look up to me as far as being a role model or somebody that they look to for inspiration for whatever reason. I again, I try to keep in my mind that I might be a role model for somebody, and I try to be conscious of that as far as, when it comes down to professionalism, respect, how you conduct yourself when talking to fans and promoters and so forth. So I do keep that in mind, but, I don't think that I would ever put myself out there and say, hey, everybody, here I am, your role model, just because I'm not, I don't look at myself that way. I don't look at myself as, okay, here I am. Now go try to, be me or do what I do necessarily. I do what works for me, and I do what I think is best for me and for the business. And I do hold myself to a certain standard as far as professionalism, as far as showing respect to my peers, to everyone who came before me, to people who are, who are just starting out and who are coming up in the business. There always has to be a level of respect there. And, personally, I don't think that that's such a, I don't think that's a virtue that's so out of everyone's grasp that it should be something hugely. But, if I am looked up to in that manner as a role model or somebody's inspiration, that I'm completely blown away by that, and it's very humbling. That's another word I use a lot, but that's because it's true and it's accurate, and it is humbling, because I know where I came from, and I know what it was like getting into the business. I know how I felt wanting to be a wrestler. I know some of the struggles that I had and some of the obstacles and hurdles in my career very early on that I had to overcome. And it's just constantly, anyone who's followed my career at all knows that I'm just constantly transforming. I'm constantly trying to evolve, trying to grow and improve. So, if people look at me that way, I'm completely flattered by it, and I appreciate it and say thank you. And I would say that, I do take that seriously. So hopefully I can set a good example for people. I hope to do that. I hope once I'm done and retired that, I have that good reputation and that legacy sitting there for other ladies and even guys coming up in the business. That would be awesome.
Well, if I was a professional wrestler, you know, I would definitely look up to you, but I guess I'm a
Oh,
little
thank you.
I will be afraid, to put my body on the line the way that you wrestlers do for a living, and it's not for everybody. And I'm just thankful just to be a fan and to watch watch from my seat or watch from the TV rather than being out there and have my body beaten up and bruised. It's
Right.
not just a physical thing, it's a mental thing as well. I got a couple of questions coming from the chat room. The first one is from my friend Andrew, and talking about your title win. Um, he wants to know, what do you consider your biggest highlight besides winning the Valkyrie Championship?
The biggest highlight of my career besides winning the Valkyrie Championship?
Yes.
Um, well, I have a go-to answer. This is one of the few questions I have a go-to answer for, I think. There's two moments in my career that I can honestly say are highlights, and will be standing highlights moving forward regardless of what else happens. Um, in no particular order. The first one is my first match, simply because it was my first match. It was the beginning of what I wanted, what I wanted to do in my life and with my life. So that, of course, is a highlight to me because it was special, and it's only going to be the first match one time. The second one was winning a title that you alluded to earlier in the interview, which was the NWA Women's World title. And I think it's pretty obvious why that would be a highlight, too. It was, I started watching wrestling in 1988, and so anybody who came up during that general time period watching wrestling knows what the NWA means and would probably have an understanding as to why it was a big deal to me. That was something that was near and dear to my heart. from going from being a fan to being the person winning the title. That was something that, again, I was honored, I was humbled, and I was so proud to hold that title and have the distinction of being listed among the ladies who had held that title before me. That's quite a class to be in. So those are the two major highlights of my career. That being said, though, I have to say, I have a lot of highlights. I've been very lucky to have been able to have a lot of good experiences and have a lot of good success and accomplishments. So I can't, I don't want to discount anything else that I've accomplished or done or that's happened to me. But when it comes to true highlights that are always going to really stick out in my mind, those two always come to mind immediately.
Oh, I definitely have to go with the NWA Women's Championship, and considering how ginormous that belt is, and I don't know how anyone could have held on to that belt. I've seen the pictures, Kacee. That belt is bigger than male titles. At least that's how I feel.
It was. Now they've since redesigned it. Actually, it's a smaller size title now. So I was the last woman to hold the large title that you're referring to, but it was quite a good-sized title belt for sure, yeah.
Well, I will also go on and say this. Got a question from Wags in the chat room. Now, obviously, he's a fan of wrestling, and he wants to know about your schedule coming up with the year winding down. That being said, go ahead and promote your up-and-coming events that you'll be a part of.
Well, coming up first, this coming Saturday, November 22nd, I'm going to be in Gloucester, New Jersey for Slam Championship Wrestling, and I'll be taking on Sammy Pandora that night. It's going to be taking place at the Pine Grove Fire Hall with a bell time of 7:30. That event is a Toys for Tots fundraiser, so fans are encouraged to bring a new toy to the show to donate to Toys for Tots, and obviously that's something that we're going to hear a lot about in the next couple of weeks. But, no matter how many companies run fundraisers, that's always something good to take part in and to participate in. So if anybody listening is planning on coming to that event, please do keep that in mind, that it is a Toys for Tots fundraiser for the area children. After that, my next appearance is scheduled to be on Saturday, December the 6th. I'll be traveling to Everett, Massachusetts for NECW. And I believe I'm going to be wrestling Miss Belmont that evening, but I do not have confirmation on that. So I'm throwing it out there sight unseen. I hope I'm not saying something wrong there or bad that I'm not supposed to be saying. But that's on Saturday, December 6th. And then after that, I will be in Felton, Delaware on Saturday, December the 13th for 1CW. That's another company that actually the day after Valkyrie, I won their first women's title, the 1CW Women's Championship. And I will be having my first title of defense for 1CW on the 13th against Jessie Kay in Felton. That event has been announced as of 2 days ago as also being 1CW's first TV taping, and they're also going to be having some steel cage matches. They have King Kong Bundy scheduled to appear. They have Just Incredible scheduled to appear. I think I'm forgetting somebody because I don't have the flyer up in front of me, but that's taking place on December 13th in Felton. So as of right now, that rounds out my 2014 schedule. It's always possible something could get added on, but currently that's going to be it for me for 2014, and then we start getting into the new year.
And of course, if you want to learn more from Kacee Carlisle and her up-and-coming shows, interviews, etc., you can always check out her website at KaceeCarlisle.com, her Facebook and her Twitter and her YouTube and other social media links are posted on there. It's very active. And by the way, please purchase yourself some nice wing wear from Miss Carlisle from matches that she's worn in the past. You can also check out some autographed photos as well. And with the holidays right around the corner, it'll look real nice if you purchase one of them holiday photos. I'm just saying,
I still have holiday cards remaining. There's, I normally, around this time of year, I normally do some type of bundle sale, and I plan on doing that again this year so everyone can start getting the wheels on their head turning and thinking of what they might want to check out on my website, which was, again, CaceeCarlisle.com, and have some of those holiday postcards remaining that might just be a little throw-in free gift with purchase. You never know. Everyone will have to watch for my announcement of when they're available and then run to my website to check it out and get their order in.
Now, Kacee, I really have to discuss this next topic because everybody knows you're tough as nails. You're vicious. You take all comers. You don't back down for anybody. But there comes a time that we get to see the fun and joyful Kacee Carlisle. And what I mean by that is there was a certain moment that had happened, and you was on a TV at some point this year, and you happened to be a rosebud. You was out there.
Oh, I didn't know where you were going with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you were a rosebud, and for those, just Google Kacee Carlisle rosebud, and I'm sure there's a photo out there somewhere. First and foremost, what was that experience like, getting a chance to be a rosebud? Because I never seen that side of Kacee Carlisle before. I never seen the happy, yay, yeah, smiling and jumping and just. I never seen that side before. Like, what was that
That's because it
experience like?
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't come out very often. That's why you've never seen it. Um, yeah, I was a rosebud. I've been a rosebud twice now. I was a rosebud in July, and I was also a rosebud in September. And the experience of being a rosebud, phenomenal. It was. I could use adjectives to describe it, but overall it was fun. It was this huge learning experience. It was a great growing experience because, granted, it is a lot of fun. It's very exciting. It's very cool, but it's also, you're still at work and you are being put into the environment in which I would assume the majority of people who are in this business want to reach at some point. You're there at that level in which to become a permanent fixture of it. And, for me, I always, anytime you have a chance to be exposed to something new or something, on a different level or something different, anything that you can learn from or anything that's new for you where you can gain experience or knowledge, or even just talking to somebody, you grab that and you take advantage of it. And that's exactly what the Rosebud experience is. You're being thrown into the mix with people who are where you want to be and have been there, done that, achieved it. They've quote unquote made it, if you would say that. And, it's just such an awesome opportunity if you're lucky enough to get to speak to somebody, after they watch you work in the ring a little bit, if you get feedback, whether it be positive or negative, if you get any type of, advice, anything at all, it's an awesome opportunity. So not only was it, and it was very cool, but it's also a great opportunity to, get your foot in the door and kind of scooch back behind the curtain where you want to be for a little bit, and have that period of time there. And so it was awesome, and it's an experience that I hope to have again with them at some point soon.
Hey, I like the fact that people get a chance to see a different side of Kacee. The fun, the happy, the smiling, and just being a rosebud. It's awesome. Just the atmosphere and I get it. People like to see wrestling a lot, but sometimes you just gotta have some fun. Sometimes you gotta let loose a little bit, and clearly that's what Adam Rose brings to the table for WWE, and it looks like his future looks bright. It's a matter of how far is he willing to go. That remains to be seen. And I noticed that a notable wrestlers have had the chance to be rosebuds, and a lot of them are former Triple Threat Wrestling Radio guests, and it just warms my heart to see that different side of Kacee, and I understand that we ain't gonna see that too often, but any chance I get a chance to see that Kacee, that warms my heart. I'm just gonna.
Well, thank you.
Well, Kacee, it was great chatting with you. Again, congrats on winning the championship for Valkyrie. Again, please check it out in the Brooklyn, New York area. I know they got another show in the works right now. Definitely 2015 for sure. And Kacee, the new champ now, she's gonna defend it at some point, and be on the lookout for the up and coming shows. And another thing I want to bring up is the fact that you know I want to see you perform in person at some point in my life. And
You've been saying that for so long.
yeah, and I don't know what it's gonna take to have you wrestle in the Kentucky area. You've been in Indiana, but you haven't been in Kentucky, and I guess the certain companies in the Kentucky area, it's one of two things: either they scared of you, or they just don't have any use for a lot of women wrestlers out there right now. So I don't know. I I don't know.
Hard to say, but we're coming up on a new year, Kenny. That's maybe they'll work me into their 2015 plans, and then you can cross that off of your bucket list.
Yeah, that would be definitely one thing I wanna witness as a Kacee Carlisle match at some point in my life. Watching it on YouTube is nice, but in person, just to get a glimpse of all of your greatness, that that will definitely put a smile on my face for sure. And again, thank you a million for joining me on the show this evening. Um, Continue success as always. Continue to be who you are, not just the wrestler, but as a person. And great things are more in store for you. And I just can't say that enough. Um, I guess
Thanks.
call me a Kacee Carlisle Mark. I don't care. I don't care. And I don't like using the word mark, but what the hell? Why not? I'm just gonna. I'll.
Well, thank you, Kenny. I so appreciate that very much. I really do, and it means a lot to me. And I appreciate you having me on the show. And, I know that we'll let a couple months go by, and I'm sure I'll be making an appearance on your show again at some point soon.
Oh, absolutely. You always welcome by default. You're always welcome. And have a great weekend. Have a great night. And with Thanksgiving coming up, happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to you.
Thank you. The same to you. Have a great night and a great Thanksgiving. And take care. I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, absolutely. You have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, bye bye.
Bye-bye.
That was the new Valkyrie Women's Champion,